Hi partakers, thank you so much for joining us. We have just finished one other week, and what that means for us is definitely a new episode of Your Take. So I don't know how the lockdown is treating you, but I hope you're managing. Right now it's just a period where we're supposed to just try and manage, stay safe and stay alive. So let's keep those three things in mind, and we'll get out of the situation soon. So what we can expect in the show today are some segments which include the food thrown to begin with, and then we'll get into our recap where we have questions that were being asked in the community during the week, and we get to do a recap on highlights and lessons that we learned from everyone's questions. So it's really an interactive time for us all. And then finally I'll leave you with a wellness quote. So to start with, let's get into our food thrown segment, where we just name and identify a food and its benefits, plain and simple. So today I'm going to be talking about, or will be naming, a food known as spring onions. They have other names. Some people call them scallions and some other people call them green onions. So basically they're in the onion family. They're also onions, but a different type, because we actually use their leaves as green as you can see them, and we also use their stem part. So these ones add color to food, especially if you're trying to find ways to decorate your plate. These would be great alternatives because they can be eaten both raw and cooked. Of course, they have a great flavor as well that they add to food, so you can cook them. Places that we can use them, like I've said, in our vegetable salads. You could use them when you're making your stews or your soups. You could also place them just to decorate foods. For example, if you have plated or put foods on your plate and you're trying to just make it look exciting, you can cut a few, slice a few bits of the leaves and then just pour maybe on top of rice, just to make it look good. So what benefits, what health benefits do we get from our scallions or green onions? They have a lot of fiber. And right now, because we tend to be eating the same foods because we're just trying to survive, I'm sure some of us it's basically posho, maybe potatoes right now, we need to be mindful that that can come with constipation. So if you need to have enough fiber as well, and that's where our green onions can come in. Then also, if you're trying to just keep your blood sugar in check, for those that have cholesterol, high cholesterol, and are trying to work on that, this because of the fiber content in this particular type of onions, they'll definitely be very helpful, even for weight loss. Another thing they offer us is vitamin C, and right now this period is really about upping your vitamin C intake, upping your fiber intake, upping your mineral intake. So we're looking out for foods that actually do that for us, and that's where our spring onions still come in. So be sure to look for spring onions. They grow very easily once you get a stem of it. You can easily plant it even in your own backyard. Don't even need to be. It doesn't take a lot of space. Doesn't take a lot of time, and it's quite vegetative. So it's easy to take care of. So that's it for our food thrown. Let's now get into our question and answer segment, basically a discussion room. Going for the first question that came in from Alex. He was asking, do beans cause heartburn, and also for the vulnerable poor, because they tend to eat the beans much more often or even on a daily, because of the situation that we're going through right now. Would that be dangerous for health? And we have a few lessons that we could learn from Alex's question. One is that heartburn is relative. If heartburn is going to cause, if beans are going to cause heartburn for Amanda, they may not cause heartburn for Paul. If sweet potatoes are going to cause heartburn for Claire, they may not cause heartburn for Stella. So you just need to notice your body and understand which foods actually cause heartburn to your body in particular, and then try and avoid them or reduce the quantities of that particular food that you are taking. And then maybe we also need to know that if you eat also a food repetitively, like all the time, you might be robbing yourself of the benefits of getting different nutrients from other foods in that same food group. For example, now beans are proteins, but there are other proteins that may offer extra nutrients that beans do not offer. and you'll be missing out on the other nutrients that another food can provide. So as much, I know it is a hard time, but we still need to, plan properly, and we need to know that every budget can have foods that will fit in there. So look at what's in your pocket and then try and plan to make sure that you are getting as much variety as your pocket can allow. But having the same food all the time may not be the best thing. So just know that every budget has foods that can fit in there. Heartburn is relative, and also unless it is a matter of life and death, like where it's only beans available and you honestly, genuinely cannot afford anything else, please try and look for other varieties of the proteins. There are other low-cost proteins that we can utilize. For example, the small fish, which is very cheap and readily available. Some people call them silverfish or mukene. So those are some of the foods that you can actually use. You can use peanut butter paste as another protein source. Some people call it OD. And yeah, even dried mushrooms are another option. So there is a lot that we can play around with, but we need to take the time out to actually go and look for what is available, and then also figure out what our budget has to offer. Let's go on to the second question that came in from Agri. Agri was asking how he can gain weight because his BMI is low, and he wants to know which foods can actually help with that. So Agri, of course, it's high protein, high fat, and high carbohydrate foods that would help you to gain weight. But we have to keep in mind that also, as much as we think definitely increasing portions of food that you're eating, so having big portions of food is going to help you gain weight. From what you are eating, you have to increase the quantities of the foods that you're eating. But on top of that, because appetite might be a problem most likely for you if you've not been able to gain weight all this time, you might need to do it tactfully, and that's where another second option of eating comes in, which is using nutrient-dense foods that are small-sized. So we should know that not all small-sized foods are also low in nutrient. There are actually small-sized foods that have a lot of nutrients packed in them, and they will actually help you to gain weight. And this can also be a tip that people are trying to lose weight can use to know that sometimes because foods look small in size, it may not mean that they also don't have much calorie content. And that's one of the reasons why you might actually be gaining weight. You're eating small-sized foods, yes, but they have a high calorie content or a high fat content. So Agri, you can use foods, for example, like different cookies, maybe oat cookies. There are also amaranth cookies on the market, just to try and make sure that they are small in size, yes, but you're also tackling the fact that they have a lot of nutrient in there, which is fat, which is carbohydrate, which is also sugar. Let's look at another example, which could be Sim Sim balls. You see how small and tiny they look, but they have a lot of protein packed in them, and also what they use to bind the Sim Sim ball is sometimes honey or sugar, so even that is an additional factor that may help you gain weight. So yes, we're looking at big quantities of food on our plate, but we're also looking, especially for snacks, at those that are they might be small sized but nutrient dense. Then we can go on to the third question that came in from Odong Delexion. Interesting name. He was asking, he's interested in bodybuilding food, so he wants to know what foods can he eat for that. Yes, there are so many foods that we can eat. Basically proteins, that's what we need to look out for. So we're looking at things like chicken, like fish, like eggs in there as well, so many, and also whey. Whey is a very good protein source. But on top of those kinds of foods that are good for bodybuilding, we need to know that there are also other important things that we need to keep at the back of our minds. One of them being that as much as we're eating right for our muscles, we also need to care for them, make sure that they are healthy. For example, there are things that muscles depend on, like exercise. So if you do not exercise, your muscles will be weak, your muscles will be, they won't be firm, and definitely they'll not be healthy. So you need to exercise to keep them firm and also to grow them. Things like also making sure you have good rest. Muscles need to rest because they need to recuperate from all the work that they always do as you are moving, as you're doing every activity that you do during your day. So good rest is also very important. And then maybe things also like massages are very helpful, because then it helps the muscles to relax until the time when they are required to actually, get back to working aggressively. Also, in terms of feeding, yes, we are saying protein is the essential source for essential nutrient for muscle growth, but there are other nutrients that are important. For example, vitamin C. Vitamin C is surfacing again. I hope you're seeing how important vitamin C is in our diets, because it helps to grow a particular component of our muscles, which is the collagen. So we need to look out for vitamin C foods. That includes foods like oranges, still foods like guavas, foods like lemons, foods like chilies, and different other fruits have a lot of vitamin C content. So there's that. There's also calcium, which comes from dairy products. So look out for those two nutrients in addition to just having protein. Then we head on to our second last question that came in from Frank, and he's asking if you can use avocado as a face mask. Yes, definitely you can use avocado as a face mask. But the thing is, as we do that, we need to keep two things in mind: that natural foods are actually more sustainable than having to use cosmetic foods. For example, during a time like this of crisis, when we are having the lockdown, it's definitely much more easy and much more accessible and affordable for people that have been on natural food regimens for their faces to get to and to also use than people that have been relying so much on cosmetic products, because maybe the supply is not there anymore, or maybe they are financially constrained, and so even their skins, it means it would have a repercussion on their skin. So let's try as much as we can to look out for skin-friendly foods and use those. Also, what we can have in our minds is, using natural foods, if they're skin-friendly, that is also safer for our health overall than using cosmetic products, because we are not sure which other chemicals are being added into those cosmetic products, and they may not look like they're affecting your skin, but they might be making it weak, who knows, or they might be affecting other body organs which you may not be aware of. So it's much safer, or you're in a safer zone, if you actually use natural foods, as long as you know they're skin friendly, as compared to people that rely so much on cosmetic products. Our last question, which makes me sad as usual, because that means we're about to, depart this week, came in from an anonymous person. She was asking 1 week before her periods. It's a bit long, so allow me to read. She normally has lower side pain, and then periods come, and the next month she has pain on a different side. So she's wondering what's the cause of the pain, and also why is it a different side every month. Well, my dear, unfortunately, I can't answer this question quite well for you, because it is not in my scope of work. That's why I need for us to learn very important lessons from her question, that healthcare is specialized. So we need to know where to take particular consultations. One, because it helps you not be so gullible. When some people see you gullible out there, they may not even have the right, first of all, they might misdiagnose you and then give you wrong treatment after that. And then who knows if it won't even make your health deteriorate even much worse than it was before. But on top of that, some people may just be looking to make money from you because they see you as a desperate person. So don't allow yourself to be used and abused in that sense. That is why you need to take the right consultations to the right people. That's why people study particular fields to make sure that they are good at an area. For example, a cancer patient will go to an oncologist, a reproductive person who has reproductive issues will go to a gynecologist, and therefore people that have feeding challenges will come to nutritionists. So I beg that you send the right questions or the right consultations to the right people. There are also health apps that we can all use. Just have a basic health app on your phone, because then you get a first opinion and it would give you more information on who you can go to and get the right diagnosis. Then finally, to end, we'll have the wellness quote, and it says, you can't give what you don't have. In this sense, we are talking about if you want your children to be healthy, you cannot give them health if you are not healthy yourself, number one. Why? Because you need to start by being an example. If you want them to learn what healthy means, you need to teach them what it is, and how best else can we do that other than by, you know, being the example that they need to see. On top of that, food has a very big impact on our genotypes over time and over years. So if you want to pass down good genes to your children, you need to be, or healthy genes to your children, you need to also be healthy and eat right. That is why it's very important that you, even before the children come, eat right, because you would most likely pass down great genes to them. That ends our show today, but if you'd like to connect with us, please do not hesitate. We have so many platforms you can reach us on. The first being on our Facebook page. We have a big community there that's very active and entertaining. It's Amanda Twebaze. Put a hyphen after Twebaze and nutritionist. So Amanda Twebaze hyphen nutritionist. And then we also are on Instagram with the handle Food Witness. Then we also have a food blog, which basically is just for your entertainment, and you know, during this lockdown, why not enjoy yourselves? So the food blog is amandatwebaze.blogspot.com. You can also connect with us on WhatsApp. The number is 0782 152610. Again, I'll read that. On WhatsApp, it's 0782 152610. Otherwise, you've been a great audience. Thank you so much for joining us once again this week. Until next time on this very channel and at this time, see you.